The highlight of the football year. On commercial break in the next part of the programme. The highlight of the football year. Munster champions Cork take on Derry, who haven't been in the final since 1958. And it's the year of the McKeepers, Jim and Dennis of the Gribbons and Sean O'Connell. Well, can Sam continue his tour of Ulster? Well, that's the only major question that remains to be answered at the end of the 1993 Football Championship season. Derry started their campaign against 91 champions Down. They showed that in 1993 they meant business with these 3 goals.
Comes to Dermot Heaney, and he squeezes it in.
Great strong run by Heaney, and here it comes for the chance. Eamon Burns had the chance. Ferris! Richard Ferris buries it. And a Gormley across, and it's in the net. Most definitely in the net.
The loose ball picked up by Brian McCormick, and he's played well since he was introduced at half-time. Over to another substitute, Joe Brawley, going for the point, and it's gone over the bar. Sending it across towards Enda Gormley. Can they put the finishing touches to a lovely point?
Well, we knew that Monaghan would come out and give it everything they had, and you're not going to win a match in the first 20 minutes. It's like a fight. You're not going to win a fight in the first round. You have to work at it, and we worked at it, and every time Monaghan scored, we came back and scored, and at half-time we tried and sorted things out, and we got to them at the finish.
Referee Tommy McDermott was criticised for playing the Ulster final in atrocious conditions that made good football impossible, as here.
Fouled by Anthony Toll. Sending a ball up. Comes up towards Johnny Gall. And Dermot McCusker is there once more. Mark McShane had the opportunity, but Joyce McMullen gives it inside to Mark McHugh. He's going for a goal and dispossessed. Oh dear, Derry survive. Kieran McKeever under pressure. Back to Brian Murray. Can't get a fist to it, can't get a foot to it. Gives it back outside, and it's Anthony Toll that picks it up. Comes down to Damien Cassidy, giving it on to Dermot McNichol. A point opportunity, and he puts it over the bar. So the Anglo-Celt Cup returns to the banks of the Foyle. Derry, Ulster champions 1993. Donegal are out of the All-Ireland title race.
So Derry were now in the All-Ireland semi-final, and what a match it was. They started well, but Dublin came back with some majestic scores and appeared to be well on their way.
Billy Murphy holding up the point of the attack. Fisting it to Paul Clark. Trying to open it up inside to Desi Farrell. Back to Pat Gilroy, looking for another score. McCusker will watch, but he can't do much about it as it sails over the bar. Turning towards the post.
Derry trailed by 4 points, but fought back, and with minutes to go, they got the winner thanks to the left foot of their wing-back.
Outside it goes towards Johnny McGurk. McGurk. McNichol calling for it. That's McGurk, and he's put it over the bar.
Clare started the defence of their Munster title against Cork, confident they could do it again. But they didn't allow for an in-form Colin Corkery.
Goes over Pat Murray's head on towards Joe Kavanagh, looking for a colleague. Straight away spotting that Corkery's got away and well away from Seamus Clancy. Clancy trying to pin a tackle on him now. Still Corkery. Oh, it's a goal!
Cork next faced Kerry and showed they could defend as well as make chances all in one.
Carol O'Dwyer trying to get out first time to the ball. Must have got to feed it on to Timmy Fleming. Here's a chance for Kerry. Closed down by Kieran O'Sullivan. Kieran O'Sullivan dispossessing the Kerry number 12. Appeals from the Kerry people that it was a push or a foul. The Cork people cheering, and Cork take it away, and it's Tony Davis. Now can they turn defence into attack? A certain score at one end, a chance at the other now for Cork. Colin Corkery right on the end line. Holds onto it, players calling for it. It's Coffey nipping in, and Coffey's missed it! What great defence! Shane Fahey coming racing for it, but it's Seamus Moynihan who got the fingers to it, won by Tony Davis, however. Cork's team captain in the absence of Mick McCarthy, wonderfully blocked down by Sean Burke. Larry Tompkins driving it in towards Colin Corkery, just touching it down to Kavanagh. Chance to seal this match now.
Tipperary made the Munster final for the first time since 1944, but Cork were now right in the mood.
This man really is a tower of strength in midfield. Big Shea Fahy. Corkery. A lovely lazy style. Joe Kavanagh. Oh, beautiful swerve by Kavanagh. That's a piece of individual flair. Wonderful play. Comes back to John O'Driscoll and he takes his point. John O'Driscoll showing a lot of pace with the cycling shorts. The chance is on. Michael McCarthy, perfect goal.
While Cork were wrapping up Munster, Mayo were coming out of Connacht. But in the semi-final, they never got going, and Cork showed what a force they are, shattering the men from the west with a 5-goal blitz.
Picked up by Mick McCarthy. O'Driscoll has gone inside. This is John O'Driscoll forcing his way through. Oh, yes! Ryan Corcoran. Kieran O'Sullivan. Switching on, that's a good ball. Lovely ball from O'Sullivan. Gone into the middle is Joe Kavanagh. Get out the barricades quick, Mayo. There's another goal here. Mick McCarthy. Oh, no doubt whatsoever that Cork are in the All-Ireland final of 1993.
The paths that have taken Cork and Derry to this year's All-Ireland final. Which side will take the title? Well, we can't tell you that, but we can talk to a couple of men who might be able to throw a bit of light on the subject. Colin O'Rourke and Jack O'Shea. Gentlemen, you're both welcome. Jack, first of all, we spared you 3 of those goals there in the blitz for a start off. Question for you straight away. Are Cork so good? Were Mayo so bad?
Yeah, I think Cork have been playing quite well this year. I think they're a recharged team this year. Right from the very start against Clare and against Kerry, against Tipperary. They are a kind of a team that when they do get in top, they will score a lot of goals. Now it's interesting, I don't think the Derry defence have conceded any goals this year, so it's going to be interesting in that point of view. But Cork are a good team this year. I think the few new players that have come into the team have given them a good impetus as well, and I think they'll take a fair bit of beating.
Would you take the point that that semi-final against Mayo holds the key to the real Cork form this year? In other words, if they really did beat Mayo off the field and there's some side, would your fellas just drop the head in the last 5-10 minutes?
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that the Mayo players dropped the head in the last 5 or 10 minutes. I think in the first 20 minutes we played quite well. But having said that, I think everything went wrong for us on the day. We lost Dermot Flanagan early on in that, and we got a bit disrupted here and there. But Cork are the kind of team when they get in top, they will score goals, and they did that day.
You know Cork teams, of course, better than anybody down through the years. Just looking at this present Cork side, I mean, how would you put them in the context of good Cork teams?
I think they're a very well balanced Cork team. I think the likes of Kieran O'Sullivan has come into the defence and is playing very well. Colin Corkery up front is giving them a lot of scoring power. John O'Driscoll, I think, is playing the best football that he's played for 5 or 6 years. You know, Shea Fahy, these players, they've been around, they've experienced, and they're going to take a bit of beating, I think.
Well, Colin, you were anxious earlier on when we were talking before the programme to remind everybody that you picked Derry for the start. And you're nearly there. But in truth, it's been hard to argue against Derry, especially at this stage. I mean, they've put out so many good teams in the championship.
Yes, well, they have had the form, like their league winners from last year, and they were very disappointed not winning the Ulster Championship last year. So it didn't take anybody who's an expert on football to point out that they were going to have a real chance of winning it this year. And of course, then they got Donegal on the very wet day in Clones, and that game turned into a total lottery. But their performance against Dublin, I think, would have led a lot of people to believe that this potentially was a very, very good team.
Do you think that they run a little bit of a danger in the sense that people are expecting so much from them in this final, and yet Cork are the team with the players who have All-Ireland medals, or a lot of them anyway, in their back pockets?
Yes, I suppose Cork will have 8 or 9 players starting next Sunday who have already won 2 All-Irelands, while Derry have a complete team, more or less, who have won league medals. There's a big difference between the levels of experience on both sides. But Donegal or Derry have fought a lot of hard matches over the last couple of years as well, and they're a fairly hardened outfit. And I wouldn't say the experience thing is going to be a factor at all.
I suppose they won't come much bigger than that semi-final against Dublin, because there was an incredible atmosphere that day in Croke Park.
Yes, and for Derry to win it coming from behind to show that they had the strength of character to keep going right till the final whistle. Because really with 10 or 15 minutes to go, you'd have to think in that day that Dublin really had the game under control, and Derry kept fighting away, and it was pure guts and determination that won it out for them in the end.
Perhaps at this stage we're looking at Derry's strengths all the time because what they've achieved in the championship, but obviously there are weaknesses there.
Yes, the big weakness I would think is their full back line, and you know, they can only play Tony Scullion at full back or cornerback, and they need two of them at the moment because they really need Scullion on both O'Driscoll and on Corkery.
Yeah.
And that's the dilemma that I suppose Eamon Coleman has trying to figure out when he's picking his team.
Yeah.
If they play Scullion at full back, they're really in trouble for somebody big to play on Corkery, who has sort of tormented every defence since the start of the year. So that'll be one big thing. And the other big problem they have is that in the semi-final they got no scores from their half-forward line, and they're going to have to sort that difficulty out because they can't win in All-Ireland relying on half-backs as they did the last day. I think they only got 2 points from play from their entire forward line, so that wouldn't be good enough against Cork, and Dublin should have really punished that, and I think Cork have better forwards, so if Derry are going to win, I think they will have to improve quite a lot on the performance against Dublin.
Jack, do you think because Derry have not been in a final since '58, also they're coming in on the back of Down having done it, Johnny Gall having done it, and I know that the atmosphere up there is unbelievable. They might just be that bit hungrier. Would that be unfair to Cork?
No, I don't think it is. I think that you know, the two teams that have come out of the north in the last 2 years, they've showed this cockiness or this you know, this carefree for nobody else, and they just approach it that way. They're very confident players coming out of the north, and you know, I think it's fair to say that the strength in football lies in Ulster at the moment. But having said that, I think that you know, if there was a team in the south to take them on at the moment with experience, and that's Cork, and I think they'd be quite you know, they'll be quite nervous coming down to play a team of Cork's experience and ability, and I think the fact they're having 8 or 9 players with All-Ireland medals is going to be a crucial factor in the whole issue.
Colin there mentioned 2 players, Corkery and John O'Driscoll at full forward. Just your thoughts on those, because O'Driscoll is a fine footballer, we all know that, but he's been in and out of form for a couple of years. Corkery's done nothing wrong this year, but the All-Ireland final is a big game.
Yeah, it's a big game. I think that John O'Driscoll and Conor Corkery are the 2 key players up front for Cork. I was at the Munster final against Tipperary. John O'Driscoll was the one player that I picked out that was really coming on song. But of course these players need the ball in from midfield, which is going to be crucial. And I think this is where the key for the whole match will lie, whatever player wins at midfield. Because both sets of forward lines are good, full forward lines. They need to get the ball in. If they don't get the service, they're not going to get the scores. So I think it's going to be out the field really, around the middle of the field, that the game is going to be won and lost.
Injuries are always a factor, of course, coming into a big match. Both Galway and Kilkenny kept us guessing like mad last week in the hurling. But Cork have had a few problems. Some of them seem to be sorted out. Fahy looks like he's going to be okay. But Cahalane obviously has been a worry to them. And of course Larry Tompkins not there, and we saw him earlier on in the championship and how important he was.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that Cork have come through this championship with a lot of trouble. They've had a lot of injury all along. It doesn't seem to have affected them so far. Cahalane would be a big loss to them, but knowing Niall Cahalane, I wouldn't rule him out until 5 minutes before the throw in.
Sure.
You know, he's a great recovery rate in that. They have got a lot of injury throughout the year, but I think it shows the depth and talent that they have. You know, these players and these experienced players that they can call on and bring in, and the team isn't weakened in any way, I think, all along this year.
Okay, Jack, just briefly then to both of you before we close. If you were just walking into the bookie shop with your tenner in your hand to put it on one side or the other, what would the final thoughts be running through your mind before you laid the money?
I'm not a gambling man like Colin, but I would back Cork for this one.
All right, Colin?
I go for an each way bet, I think.
But I tell us you're going for a draw or anything like that.
I've stuck with Derry all along, and I'm not going to desert them now. So I'll go for Derry.
Good man. Gentlemen, Jack, Colin, thank you very much for joining us on the programme here tonight. Well, next here on the programme, though, let's recap on the day's main GAA scorelines. The All-Ireland Under-21 hurling final, Galway 2-14, Kilkenny 3-11, and that, of course, a draw.
Underway. Interesting to see.
Of course, a draw.
Underway.